Hi everyone, and welcome back to Season 3, Episode 16 of Revolutionary War Rarities. We are the podcast from the Sons of the American Revolution, and my name is Jim Griffith. Before we get started, make sure and subscribe to Revolutionary War Rarities YouTube channel and hit the bell to be notified every time a new episode is released. Make sure and subscribe to Revolutionary War Rarities on your favorite podcast application, follow us on Instagram, join our Facebook group, and check out our website at www.fastfunhistory.com. Today's episode is entitled, What Greater Joy Did Ever New England See Than a Stampman Hanging on a Tree? Today we will be discussing liberty trees and the role they played during the American Revolution. Liberty trees have long served as a symbol of rebellion. The original liberty tree was a stately American elm tree that resided very near the Boston Common. It is estimated that the tree was originally planted around 1646 as part of an elm grove, so it was not planted by itself. It was first used for rebellious purposes anyway in 1765 to protest the Stamp Act. Now, the American elm tree grows a little more than 2 feet per year on average, but that growth rate can depend on the environment. For the purposes of this podcast, we're going to assume that it grew 2 feet per year. That means that when the original Liberty Tree was used to protest the Stamp Act, it would have reached its average maximum height of 200 feet, which is common for the American elm tree. An American elm tree that lives out its full life without being damaged by lightning or wind or ice or disease can live as long as 300 years. So what happened in 1765? Well, in protest of the Stamp Act, American colonists gathered at the Liberty Tree on August 14, 1765, and hung an effigy of Andrew Oliver on the tree. So who was Andrew Oliver? Well, he was serving as the stamp collector in Boston at that time. He personally disagreed with the Stamp Act legislation, but had to publicly support it due to his position as stamp collector. Now, later that evening, after hanging his effigy, the protesters tore down the effigy from the tree and marched it around Boston in a mock funeral. They then looted Andrew Oliver's office and proceeded to his home. When they arrived at his home, they beheaded and burned the effigy. Oliver was unharmed, but when he returned to his home, he found that it had also been ransacked. Oliver resigned his position as stamp collector the following day. He was then paraded through the streets in humiliation all the way to the Liberty Tree. Now, Oliver's resignation is believed to have inspired the formation of the Sons of Liberty. The Stamp Act was repealed in 1766, and the Bostonians celebrated their victory by hanging 150 lanterns in the elm grove and posting a copper sign formally naming the tree the Liberty Tree. This was not the last time that Andrew Oliver would be humiliated. However, he died in March of 1774, and his death was celebrated by the many members of the Sons of Liberty. Likewise, this was not the last time that the Liberty Tree played a major role in the rebellion against British rule. In modern-day culture, if you happen to find yourself in the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World, make your way over to Liberty Square and you will see their version of a Liberty Tree that has many lanterns hung in the tree. The lanterns are a symbol of victory against the Stamp Act. Disney's version of the Liberty Tree is a southern live oak. The Liberty Tree was used to post complaints about British rule. The area surrounding the Liberty Tree was named Liberty Hall. The tree was used to protest the Tea Act, which ultimately led to the Boston Tea Party. Individuals were tarred and feathered and threatened. The Liberty Tree was a gathering place for many Bostonians, but it was not a peaceful place. It was a place infamous for the rebellions that it ultimately inspired, and the Sons of Liberty played a major role in the Liberty Tree and certainly in the rebellions. There were generally announcements made that requested individuals to meet at the Liberty Tree where acts of rebellion would occur. Now, Liberty Trees were not the only gathering place for rebellious activities. As we already know, the Sons of Liberty commonly gathered in taverns, so taverns also played a major role in this nation's pursuit of liberty. But a lesser-known element to liberty, for lack of a better word, was the Liberty Pole. The Liberty Pole served basically the exact same purpose as a Liberty Tree, and they were frequently erected in town squares. There are examples of where a mast from a British ship that had been captured was removed from the ship and used in the town square as a liberty pole. Now, back to Liberty trees. News of the Liberty tree in Boston spread through the colonies and inspired other colonies to create their own Liberty trees. Estimates on the number of Liberty trees in the colonies range anywhere from 13, one per colony, to literally hundreds. The fact is, there is no official single record of Liberty trees that dated back to the American Revolution. However, the most famous of the Liberty trees was, of course, the original Liberty tree, the American elm tree near the Boston Common. There was a Liberty tree in Acton, Massachusetts that survived until 1925. The last verified Liberty tree was lost in 1999 in Annapolis, Maryland, and was a 400-year-old tulip poplar on the grounds of St. John's College. Randolph, New Jersey has also laid claim to the last surviving Liberty tree with a white oak that dated back to 1720 and survived until 2018. It is not believed that any original Liberty trees still survive in the United States. However, there are many offspring of the original Liberty trees that survive to this day. So what happened to the original American elm Liberty tree in Boston? Well, as you know, Boston was the center for rebellion and was held by the British while under siege by the Americans from April 19th, the day of Lexington and Concord, and the shot heard round the world, until March 17th, 1776, when the British finally evacuated the city after the American troops had successfully prevented any British travel by land and had successfully deployed the cannons from Fort Ticonderoga onto Dorchester Heights. It was during this time that the British cut down the original Liberty tree as an insult to the rebellion and used the remnants for firewood. The remaining stump was referred to as the Liberty Stump, but it was lost over time. Today in Boston, at the location of the original Liberty tree, is Liberty Tree Plaza, located at number 2 Boylston Street. Inside Boston's old State House Museum, you will find one of the flags that flew above the original Liberty tree, as well as one of the lanterns that was hung in the Liberty tree after the repeal of the Stamp Act. Trees have always played an important part of American history. From the many Liberty trees that we have discussed today to the pine tree riots in New Hampshire, the Emancipation Oak in Hampton, Virginia, the apple trees from Johnny Appleseed to the great sequoia and redwoods in California. Trees have always represented something that seems to capture the human spirit and certainly transcends time. Adventure, longevity, independence, and yes, liberty. And for that, we, the sons of the American Revolution, are thankful. And that, my friends, is another episode of Revolutionary War Rarities. Please join us again in 2 weeks for our next episode. This has been a production of the National Society, Sons of the American Revolution, www.sar.org.